This is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, Obama recently had his third State of the Union speech, talked to the folks all throughout the galaxy. Now, I'm here talking to some folks today. Now, what did you think of Obama's speech this week?
I think that his speech was very grandiose in scope when he talked about the unemployment rate, and he talked about the economy, and he's talking about we're in an upswing. I don't think that the unemployment factor will change decidedly, but I think that we have a lot of candidates such as Newt Gingrich and Mitt Romney that are espousing a sort of pro-employment agenda without a decent base to stand on right now. I think that Obama being referred to as a food stamp president is totally inaccurate because he took over the time when Bush had just left us in a food stamp state, and I think it's unfair to blame Obama for the entire economic factor, seeing that the economy actually was grown in debt from 1790 to present day.
Can we take a step this way because we're a little off the...
Yes.
Come here a little bit. Yeah, we're not quite in. Now, he started off his speech with talking about the war. What do you think about Obama's handling of the war?
I think that him transferring more troops to Afghanistan and taking troops out of Iraq, I think it was the right thing to do for the time. I think it's important decidedly to understand that the people in the Middle East respect our presence, but they do not want us there to govern them, and they need to find a way to deal with the problem themselves.
Now, he's recently been criticized for some of his handlings of the economy. What do you think of Obama's handling of the economy?
I think the economy can only be handled in the best way possible by implementing policies that are consistent with the Bush tax cuts. The only way to keep things in line is to keep doing what Bush has been doing, has done in the past, and just drive this nation further and further into a hole.
Now, he also recently stopped the pipeline to Alaska. What do you think of this country's oil policies and how it affects the environment?
I think it's a Sarah Palin pet project, and I don't think it should continue.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the beings throughout the galaxy?
Yes, hi Mom.
Okay, so in closing, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, Obama recently had his third State of the Union speech this week, so we're talking folks all throughout the galaxy about what they think of Obama's third State of the Union speech. So I'm here with Elmo asking him about, what do you think of Obama's State of the Union speech?
I thought it was wonderful. I think my president has got a great approach to everything, and I am welcoming him to get reelected.
Now, he started out his speech with the war. Now, what do you think of his handlings of the various wars that this planet has been engaged in?
I think that he's living up to what he said. He said that he was going to stop the war in Iraq and start pulling the troops back. They've been complaining about him not doing it fast enough, but I commend him for doing it and ending the war. He has ended the war on his term and during his time. So I think he's lived up to his policies. And the restructuring, of course, is going to take time, but I think it'll be great.
Now, what do you think? Now, has some issues with his economic policies. Now, what do you think of Obama's handling of the economy and the job situation?
I thought he did great. Unemployment was 8%. Now it's down to 3.8, according to Obama. And if you look back at Obama's record, everything he's done in office has done more than any other president in office at this time. So I think it's great. His unemployment is down, his jobs, if he could get the Congress to vote on his jobs plan and support him, if they would spend more time supporting him instead of trying to foil him and make him look bad, then it could work.
Now, he's recently been criticizing for his now, he recently had some issues with the pipeline coming down from Canada to support oil to this country. What do you think of his handling of oil and the environmental policies?
Well, I think that that's something that we're all learning about as slowly as the overseas market tightens up or whatever they decide to do. I think he's doing a great job with his oil policies. I think he's been bombarded with so many problems, like the BP problem and just different things. Everything that he handles, he gets confronted with, he handles.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the beings throughout the galaxy?
Re-elect Obama. Re-elect Obama.
right? So re-elect Obama, and this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, recently Obama had his third State of the Union speech talking to all his fellow Earthicans. Now, we're asking some folks in the Empire, what do you think of Obama's State of the Union speech recently?
I think Obama always says the right things. He means the right things, but a lot of times it doesn't go accordingly. So let's see if it goes accordingly this time.
Now, you're part of a warrior, and you've done several things in his campaigns throughout the galaxy. What do you think of Obama's handling of the wars throughout the various planets he's been on?
I think he handled it pretty well. I think he handled it better than the previous president, you know. I think the fact that the war is over shows that there's communication between both countries, both sides, both parties, however you want to look at it. And I think from this point on, both parties will be able to get along better, and we'll be able to communicate and do business together.
Can we look more at the camera, because you're like, can you like tilt your body? Okay, so we got the war economy. Now, his handling of the economy, people say that he's lost many jobs throughout the galaxy, and people aren't working so much, and it's not as prosperous. What do you think of Obama's handling of the economy?
I think he's handling it pretty well. I believe that jobs are growing, and they're going to continue to grow. I believe that he needs a little more time to fix the mess that was already there. You know, there was already a big mess, so basically he was there just fixing the problem that was already there before he was in office.
Now, one of the criticisms is that he recently turned down a chance for a pipeline coming down from Canada to provide something like 10,000 good jobs for manufacturers in this planet. What do you think of his handling of the environment and his energy policies, particularly oil?
Repeat that question?
Remember the oil pipeline that he stopped recently? Yeah. So what do you think about him not doing that?
I think that if he's not doing that, I think that it's for the best of the country. I mean, I believe from looking inside, from outside, it probably looks like, what's this guy doing? You know, he doesn't know what he's doing. We're going to have more jobs, but I believe he's looking long term, and he sees something that we don't see.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the beings throughout the galaxy?
Just want to say the force is strong with you guys. I feel it.
So in closing, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now, recently Obama had his third State of the Union where he addressed his fellow Earthicans all throughout the galaxy. Now, I'm here asking some the folks in his empire, what do you think of Obama's State of the Union speech this week?
I think it was just full of promises, the same promises that he'd been given for the last two states. I just think it's just the same thing, the same old.
Same old, same old. Now, you've been involved in many of his military campaigns throughout the galaxy. What do you think of his handlings of the war throughout the galaxy?
Well, I think that he did fairly okay, but I think that he could have did a better job. He could have did it a lot more faster, a lot more efficiently. He could have gave us a reason why America was over there doing what they were doing. Only God knows what they were doing.
Now, Obama's handling of the economy has been recently impacted because he's going to be bringing back the troops from the war. Now, how do you think he'll be handling that and his basic handling of the economy?
We have like 10 more months until the next election. I don't think that he's going to bring the economy up even more than what it is right now, and I just think that it's not gonna work out. And if he goes for another term, it's just gonna be the same old, same old.
So now recently he turned down a chance for something like $10,000. Now recently he turned down a chance for 10,000 manufacturing jobs to bring a pipeline down from Canada and to provide oil to the United States and the rest of the people on his planet. What do you think of his handling of oil policy and his protection of the environment?
Well, the U.S. has a reserve, so if the price isn't right, of course he's going to turn it down. So that's what it's about. It's about the price. I don't think that he's handling it either way. The reserve has been there already, so he's just following protocol. It's nothing new.
So in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the rest of the folks throughout the empire?
I think that we need to get a good Republican in there.
So in closing, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now this is Texas from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you. Now recently Obama had his third State of the Union speech where he addressed the folks throughout the galaxy about his plans for the future. Now what do you think of Obama's State of the Union speech so far?
I wasn't very impressed with it, to be honest with you.
Now he started out his speech with talking about the war. Now what do you think of his handling of the various wars throughout the galaxy?
I have to be totally serious with that. I do like the way he handled that. I thought he handled that with precision. I thought he handled that very intelligently. And that part of his administration so far has been probably the best part of his administration, is the way he handled that and the capturing of some of the top Al-Qaeda network agents and capturing them and putting a very, very large dent in their group. He almost brought it to their knees, a little bit more, and he will end it.
Now, he's also had some issues with his handlings of the various economic policies and economy throughout the galaxy. What do you think of President Obama's handling of the economy?
He hasn't done absolutely nothing with it, and I'm sorry to say that, but his stimulus package that he started with at the beginning of his administration was just like putting a Band-Aid on a very, very, very large wound. 4 years later, we're still pretty much in the same predicament, if not a little worse. So he hasn't done anything to fix it for, the next generation or for future generations.
Now, recently he stopped the chance to give 10,000 well-paid manufacturing workers a chance to build a pipeline from Canada down to America. What do you think of his oil policies and his handling of the environment?
That's kind of mixed. I am for the environment, and I understand the groups that are against it, because you look at something that happened in the Gulf of New Mexico, it affected, New Orleans. And if that's the reason why he did it, that he's looking for the safety of the planet and looking for, for those kind of reasons, I do have to support that, if that was his reason.
Now you say if that was, what if it wasn't his reason?
Well, if it was just not to stimulate and not to grow, that's wrong, because, if it could, maybe it can be done safely, maybe we should bring like an outside agency to handle the oil companies, because the oil company, I know you got these guys right in you, I'm sorry. The oil industries are always going to say, yeah, it's safe for us to do this, it's safe for us to drill, it's safe for us to put a pipeline, but there are people who get paid to say that. If they was to bring an outside agency in to survey it and to put it up and to make it safe, and they wasn't being paid by the oil company's money, then yeah, I think it could be done safely. And yes, we still do need the oil. We still are dependent on the oil, and we need to get off of foreign oil.
Okay, as soon as they hop, if you guys watching the Raw, there's some little kids jumping around. Luckily, they're too small to see in the camera. But so in closing, is there any last minute things you'd like to say to the beings throughout the galaxy?
Like I always say, this is one planet. We got to take care of it, love one another, as always.
Okay. So in closing, this is Taxes from the Predatory Lending Network talking to you.